Ladies and gentlemen, if we could, I will call this meeting to order. We'll call our meeting to order. We have 6 presentations today. It's raining outside. It's not cold. Nobody wants to be here until the sun sets. So please keep that in mind as you are presenting. We would appreciate it. And I think today we will start with Director Arthur. If you will join us, and you can choose the fireside chat seats down here, or you can go to the podium with the microphone. It's completely up to you, sir.
I'd rather be in the fireside than in the fire.
I know that to be true. No, I'm sorry, I was kidding. We do have to have the microphone. I guess my joke, I know, I offered it, didn't I? But for our friends who are watching online, the microphone is tied into the computer system, and that allows them to hear. And I know that they will be hanging on your every word, so if you will,
Sure.
just use that microphone for us. The floor is yours, sir.
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to come here, and I'm going to talk first briefly about the budget and go through it. The Georgia Professional Standards Commission is on page 11 of your document, and we are located on 27.10. All the items in it except for the very last one are statewide changes, and I can go through them quickly. 27.10.1 is the cost of living adjustment. Items 27.10.2 is a increase in employee contribution to TRS, and we do have a few employees that are on TRS, but they're also on, we also have several on ERS also. 27.10.3 provides $24,600 to reflect an increase in GTA rates, and we pay for the cloud with that and other infrastructure. And then if you go on down, insurance premiums through DOAS is $2,704. Rent increase of $50,638, and the merit system $334. Item 27.
In front of you.
You couldn't hear me? Now you can hear me. Can I close this? Okay. 27.10.7 provides an additional $5,695 to expand our partnership with the HBCUs. PSC, we have hosted conferences with them in the past. It's been since 2019 since we did work live with them. As far as a conference, we work continually with them, and I do want to say that the percentage of minority educators and teachers has gone up over the last 3 years. But in talking to Governor Kemp, he more than was very enthusiastic about this. But we will have a large conference this spring with our HBCUs in the state of Georgia, and of course we work with them on that agenda. But the full intent, of course, is to add recruitment and what we can all do together to continue that enrollment growth. And so we do look forward to that and really appreciate the money that he has put in the budget. This summit, it provides an opportunity for teacher preparation faculty and staff to network and collaborate and engage in professional learning for retention and initiatives to encourage black males to enter the profession. And so, like I said, we do look forward to that. And that is our budget as it stands. I'd like to give a short synopsis kind of what we're all about and what we're doing right now, some initiatives, if that's okay. We are charged, the Professional Standards Commission is really charged with the preparation, the certification, and the ethics with all teachers and prospective teachers, and that's what we do. We set standards, we assess, we hold the teachers accountable. We're made up of a commission of 18 commissioners, the majority of which are teachers at all primary, elementary, middle school, high school, administrators. All the decisions, we don't do anything by ourselves. We always have them at the table. We always bring groups to the table to try to make the best decisions, but they have the final say. And the commission is not a regular board. They are a working commission, and a lot of people don't realize that. But they are a working commission and work together well, but they're separated into two different committees. One is ethics, which right now we're seeing averaging about 117 cases a month, about over 1,400 a year is where we're at. About 50% of those cases do get some type of discipline or punishment from us, from the commission. The majority of those cases are teachers in their first 3 years of teaching. And so we are the only state in the union that has an ethics assessment exam that they all have to take before they get certification. And it is an exam, but it's also a teaching exam. So they know what the 10 standards are and the expectations going into it. And anyone who gets a certificate in the state of Georgia has to take that ethics assessment. But we see our cases going up. The number of teachers in the state are going up. But we only see 1 to 2% a year of those cases are the ones you read about in the paper. People always want to talk about, well, the teachers are doing this and teachers are doing that. It's less than 2% that we have to revoke or take a year or 2 years away from. That's it, and that really rarely makes the paper. But it's a real small minority that get in that kind of trouble. A lot of them make mistakes that, they're going to have to serve their time. Maybe it's 20 days without a certificate, but they ought to come back and teach. We're there to keep the worst teachers out of the classroom. And so that's what our commission does. Our Ed Prep division works with all colleges, and a lot of times people don't realize that, but we work with over 48 institutions. We work with for-profit, not-for-profit, private, and public. If they meet our standards, we accept their Ed Prep program and work with them. And a lot of times that gets changed around where we don't accept the for-profit. We accept them. If they have an Ed Prep program that meets our standards and accreditation, then we work with them. And so certification, last year we dealt with over 100,000 cases. We see that number going up. We have over 300,000 certificates in the state of Georgia. We have over 170 that we dealt with last year. We either renewed or they were new, but we have over 100,000 that we issued new certificates to. So we stay busy. Last part of our group, of course, is the assessment piece, and we do all the state tests go through us. And right now we do have some out on an RFP, but to meet the new law, because it takes 2 years to write a new test and to come up. So we're in the baby stages of that right now. So that's kind of where we're at, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. I appreciate it. Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fine. I'm glad I was a little winded when I first got here. I've been in this room 3 times a day, y'all. But I'm happy to see, when you're talking about increased funding, particularly with your partnerships with HBCUs. As you know, that is one of the areas that I've been concerned about. And in as much as the Board of Regents added education, teacher education back to Savannah State University.
Right.
Has any effort been made to talk with the administration and to see how can they fit into this in order to help them build their programs, but also to attract more students that we're aware of that may want to go into the teacher education. Particularly, when I look at the schools in Savannah, I notice that there are people that have been substitute teachers for years and years and years, and it seems like there should be a way where we can encourage them to try and get into one of the programs so that they can become certified or whatever. I don't know what they call it now, in order to teach or what have you.
We are continually working with all our colleges and universities to build the number, and we are working with school systems on talking to their parapros, their substitute teachers,
Great.
and how it takes. We've got alternative methods that they can become a teacher and become certified now.
Okay.
And so where if they have some education or they have a 4-year degree in another field, what it takes to change that over. And so we are working across the board with all of them at this point. We see that the percentage of minority teachers has gone up the last 3 years. We're over 29% now in the state, whereas it was down as low as 15 at one time.
Yeah.
So we
Can I
feel
ask
like
you-
it's helping.
Okay. Well, that's good. And I noticed you said you're working with all of them, but specifically,
Savannah
has
State.
an effort been made to work with, as you know, Savannah State has a new interim president, and this is part of the thrust, that where the school is going as far as some other academic areas.
I
And
haven't
then-
met him, but we do
Her,
have
she.
people. Her, I haven't met her,
Okay.
but we do have people that should have made contact with their deans at that level, and maybe their provost to start that. And if they have an education program, I can promise you, we're working with them right now, helping them to meet our standards.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
No greater advocate for her alma mater
Good.
than the former mayor. To my friends on the end down here, we've had a problem the last couple of days in committee meetings with your button. So if you're pressing a button and I'm not recognizing you, just throw something. Okay? Something soft. Seeing no further questions, thank you for being here.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Appreciate it.
Director Hawkins, we will now ask you to join us and speak about GOSA. Members of the committee, that is our next section there, 27.11. That is on page 11. And we will get your presentation pulled up.
It'll just come back up.
I have a printer.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, so you don't want,
I'm good.
okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Happy rainy after Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. So GOSA's budget begins at 27.11 and goes through 27.14. And I can go through the statewide budget items if you want to, but I think you've already heard from Director.
Yes, ma'am. We
What's
would
his name?
appreciate brevity in this situation. So I think we
Arthur.
can all
Yes.
see through the rest of the day that there are
That's right.
$3,000 or 4% cost of living adjustment. So we
That's
can
right.
establish that.
That's right, and some increases for TRS. So at 2711.6, there is a reduction. So there are two reductions in our budget for FY25. One reflects just the erasure analysis with DRC, the milestones producer vendor. At one time in life, we were paying about $2,000 per year for that additional analysis. That was negotiated in the last contract between Georgia DOE and DRC, and so we no longer have that additional expense. At 27.117, we had a reclassified position, and that was a part of the 1% reduction. And then the 27.11.8 is funds to realign the budget. There was a $250,000 disregard that showed up in FY24 and 25, and that's what that's about. In addition, so that does it for our budget. Because of your interest in the governor's honors program, I just wanted to update you on a couple of things. And so you have a handout, and is there something on the screen? Oh, that's what you were doing. Okay. You have your handout, so I'll go really quickly. As you know, Governor's Honors Program has been around. This will be our 60th year. It's a 4-week residential program that is now hosted by Georgia Southern for the second year this summer. We had over 4,200 applications or nominations from systems throughout Georgia. And of those, over 1,500 will go to the semifinalists on February 24th. And those will be down at Georgia Southern. So every year, between 625 to 650 students are ultimately chosen as those governor's honors candidates for the year, the summer. And I just wanted to bring some attention to some of our alum, including Commissioner Tyler Harper, Joe Gebbia Jr., the co-founder of Airbnb. By the way, he's coming to our summer program in July. So we're really excited about that. And then our state board member and new chair, Stan DeJarnett, among others. The move to Georgia Southern has really proven to be an efficient one and has kind of gotten us rebooted in a way to be more efficient in our inventory controls and our fiscal analysis. And so all of the fiscal analysis has come to GOSA, not GHP staff, as a check and balance process in the last couple of years. And also in the last couple of years, we've established very tight inventory controls. What we realized over the 60 years is there's been an accumulation of inventory, and it became an every year buy more this and that. And so 2 years ago, we made a very concerted effort to bring all of that into one central location. And I had pictures, but I wasn't able to download them. We had over 7 storage spaces when we were at Berry College in Rome. We were able to negotiate with Georgia Southern to have all of that brought on campus, and so for a very nominal fee. And so very happy about that. And every item now is barcoded, so we know when an item needs to be replaced, etc. The thing that I'm most proud of, however, is last year we started a strategic plan working on rural Georgia. We realized that there were 20 school systems that had not nominated or completed applications for semifinalists in the last 5 years. And so we really worked, like visits, phone calls, etc., just to get those systems realizing that they have GHP caliber students. They don't have to be in the gifted program. And that's something that we're trying to get out to all districts. We're looking for those knowledgeable, passionate, skilled, and talented students who go beyond, who need more than what a high school can provide. And so I'm happy to report that going into the semifinalists this year are 6 students from 4 of those school districts. So Jenkins, Hurd, Chattahoochee, and Lanier produced 6 students, and their majors are amazing: ag science, comm arts, music, science, visual arts, and world languages. So you can see the very diverse group of individuals that we have. And we will continue working with these students as they prepare for the auditions and interviews, working with GHP alum from the past, because we want these students from all parts of Georgia to experience what they call the magic of GHP. So it concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Director, and I really appreciate your focus on rural and with that GHP program. And excuse me, I know we added those dollars to the amended budget, and very much excited to see the results of that as you come back to us next year and present. But at this time, seeing no questions. Okay. Thanks for being here.
May I add
Sure.
something that should make you happy? There is a young lady from Chatham County that is at Agnes Scott now. She was in the Governor's Honors Program. She was selected as one of 30 individuals across the world as a Rhodes Scholar.
Whoa.
And we are getting
amazing.
ready to honor her here, hopefully here at the Capitol. She will be studying in England. So I hope she came out of the public school system in Savannah. So I can
I know you're
provide
proud
you
of
with that
that.
information. I would love to see her name added. to
Oh,
something like that.
absolutely. One final thing, the Reach Georgia program produced a GHP student last year, which was just so eye-opening to know that these students who might have fallen off the rails in 8th and 9th grade are now that caliber student, and they were able to have that enrichment. So they're all good stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Evans, if you will, join us and brief us on TRS for members of the committee. Very last page of your budget. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Buster Evans, Director of Teachers Retirement System of Georgia, and I promise you I can help you by being as brief as you would like to be this afternoon. On the very last page, it's going to be line 45.1. And this will be one of the few budgets that you look at every year that goes down. And it's only $62,000. That's down. We presented this information to the Joint House Senate Appropriations Committees, and we shared with them that this represents just a few of the older people who were part of systems that merged into the teachers' retirement system back in the 1970s. Two of my friends who are legislators wanted to see if they could get their names following the meeting. We did not oblige with that, but you just need to know what some of your colleagues do. So that is our budget, only $62,000 for FY25 budget. Real quickly, a bit of an update. Our retirement system serves over 500,000 educators in Georgia, both from public school, colleges and universities, technical colleges. We exist to be a part of the solution to help to recruit and retain teachers. And then once they eventually do retire, so that they will have a standard of income that helps them to be able to live out their retirement years with sufficient funds to live without being a burden on society. I know that you probably have a number of retired teacher friends in your communities. Hopefully they've told you thank you for supporting the teachers retirement system. The last year has been a particularly good year for us in our returns. We had returns of 11.9%, which actually were some of the best investment returns in the nation. We are here today with returns fiscal year to date 8.75% over $101 billion. So we're holding on for a great year. You don't have a lot of retirement legislation before you this year, but if we can be of service to you in any way whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out. And unless you have questions, I'll let you get to someone else.
Well, we do appreciate it. Seeing no questions, thanks for being
Great,
here.
thanks.
We'll move from TRS to ERS. On page 10 of your document, Director Potvin will present section 25, again, page 10 of your document. Floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Jim Potvin, Director of the Employees Retirement System. Line 25.1, that's our deferred compensation program. That is what we refer to as Peach State Reserves, the 401k and 457 plans that we're responsible for. Those plans are self-funded, in other words, fees and forfeitures that the plan accumulates are enough to pay for the administrative costs of the system. So no state dollars required there. The Georgia Military Pension Fund and Public School Employees Retirement System are two retirement systems for which we receive direct appropriations for the employer contributions. Both of those have modest decreases between FY24 and FY25, totaling a little over $1.2 million in total. And then line 25.4.1, we are under the System Administration or ERS line. We are grateful to see in the FY25 budget the $26.75 million that's earmarked for support for our retirees, providing some kind of a boost or supplement to our retiree payments. This will be the third fiscal year in a row receiving that, and our retirees and our system are very grateful for that support. As far as the agency is concerned, we are responsible for 5 defined benefit programs: ERS, the public schools, Georgia military, judicial and legislative retirement systems. We have the Peach State Reserves plans, that's 2 defined contribution plans, as well as another defined contribution plan for part-time and seasonal employees. And we have 2 closed life insurance plans that still have some legacy employees in there as well. We serve in total about 110,000 active members. 56,000 or so of those are in ERS. That number is increasing. May not seem noteworthy, but for us it has been. After many years, almost 20 years of declines in our active membership, the last 2 years have seen pretty strong increases from a low of 52,500 2 years ago to just under 55,000 last year, and we're up to over 56,000 now. About 3/4 of those employees, active employees, are in the current, what we call GSEPS tier, the hybrid tier for the defined pension, the defined benefit and defined contribution plan. And of course, that number is only going to continue to get higher, but the reach of the GSEPS program is continuing to increase. As far as the pension contribution rates are concerned, we project stable rates between now, FY24 current year and next year, and probably the year after that as well. We don't have the actual results in yet, but we're expecting them not to change too much between this year and next year. Total value of assets for all of the defined benefit systems that we have is about $19.2 billion. That's up from $18.5 billion last June. For ERS by itself, we're at about $15.3 billion, which is up from $14.7 billion last June. Total value of the two defined contribution plans is about $2.8 billion. Similar to TRS, we're having a strong investment year this year. We're at about 8.5% year to date. Compare that to our stated objective of 7.1, so we're on track for a good year. Let's all keep our fingers crossed that the spring is as strong as the winter has been so far. With that, I'll pause and ask if there are any questions.
Seeing no questions, as always,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Next up, Commissioner Jacobs, if you would come and talk to us about Section 22, which is back on the very first page of your document. And if I can, if y'all take a look, these are the slides that she's going to present. So you do have these as well.
She's so accommodating.
You have no idea.
Well, thank you.
Keeps it all running. Thank
yes,
you. You're up.
she does. So, okay, I will. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I will start with the budget, and we are Section 22, and our first item that is not statewide is 22.1.4 in the Child Care Services budget. It is an increase in funds to raise our CAPS reimbursement rate to the 50th percentile of market rates for child care providers. It's an addition of about $4.6 million. After our COVID dollars run out, which is September of 2024, we will go back to paying CAPS rates that are at the 25th percentile of the market rate, which are very low, very difficult for child care providers to cover their costs, to recruit and retain teachers, and for families to afford quality child care. So this increase is much needed and will increase those rates that we pay for child care providers and also help families pay less out of pocket. Our next changes are in the pre-K program, which is 22.3. So the first change is 22.3.5, which is an increase of $1.2 million for teacher training and experience. Just like DOE does for their teachers, we pay training and experience for pre-K teachers. 22.3.6 is an increase in formula funds to reflect the PMPM SHPP rate for public pre-K teachers. It's an increase of $2.4 million. 22.3.7 is an increase of funds for the state-based salary for both pre-K lead teachers and assistant teachers at $2,500, which is a total of $23.5 million, which our teachers are always appreciative of that increase. 22.3.8 is an increase in funds for 1 year of a 4-year phase-in to reduce our class size from 22 students to 20 students. Right now, our class size is 22 students with 2 teachers, and this funding would help us to decrease that to 20 students, which is better for teachers, it's better for students. This is the last cut remaining from the 2010-2011, I call it Hope Reform years. So this is the last cut remaining to be restored. And I just want to make sure I clarify this because there's been a little bit of confusion. Our plan is to add 96 classes, so we will not be serving fewer students. We'll be adding classes and spreading out those students among those classes in smaller class sizes. So that is our plan. It's an addition of $10.9 million. The next item is 22.3.9 is increase in funds for a provider management system of $612,000. We are currently operating a very old system, which we call Panda. I don't know, but we named all of our system after bears, and this Panda is extinct. So it is old, it is clunky. There's still a lot of manual processes in pre-K, so this will help us to improve that for providers, for our staff, and also in some enhanced security that is desperately needed. 22.3.10 is about $49,000 for a computer refresh for our decal pre-K staff. We haven't had a computer refresh since 2019. And then 22.3.11 is an increase in funds for our summer transition program of $6.1 million, which would allow us to fund 288 classes. Summer transition program, I'll talk about a little bit more in my remarks and my updates on some programs. So that's all of our budget items.
Any questions on the budget items before she dives in? Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure you're saying add that if you look at 22.37, you're adding 2005. What is that going to bring the salary to?
So the average pre-K lead teacher salary is about $45,000 a year. And for assistant teachers, it's $20,000 a year. So if you add $2,500 to both of those, that's the average.
Is that another question, Mr. Chair? What is the average in other states?
I do not know that. I'll have to do some research on that. I know that our average is lower than K-12.
Okay, thank you.
And Representative, keep in mind that we have a what would be the proper phrase? We have a pre-K reform package.
We do.
That Pro Tem Jones is leading the charge on that. And so with not taking anything away from this, nor implying that that's all a done deal, but I think this House has prioritized this year what can be done for our earliest learners and all those who support such programs. So I look forward to more numbers, bigger numbers, better numbers.
I appreciate your support on that. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So you have slides in front of you,
Yes,
and I will
ma'am.
go quickly through those. If you'll look at slide 2, this is a list of all of decal programs, and I won't touch on all of them. I thought I would touch on the 4 programs where we have seen state support and state funding, just to give you an update, and if you have any questions. So if you go to slide 3, of course you know about Georgia's pre-K program. We are in our 31st year, have served over 2 million 4-year-olds in our high-quality environments. Our research is really, really positive. It shows that children make gains on all domains of learning in Georgia pre-K above and beyond their peers that do not attend a Georgia pre-K class. Currently, our enrollment is 71,516. This is still low. We usually serve around 80,000 students. We have not gone back up to pre-pandemic levels. I don't have a good answer for that other than folks moved around during the pandemic. Families are using Georgia pre-K and childcare differently than they did just because their work schedules are more flexible and different. And we have a wait list of 3,741. On the right, you'll see this map. This is a saturation map, and so this shows you the percent of 4-year-olds in each county served in Georgia pre-K. Obviously, the darker green, the more 4-year-olds served, and the lighter green, the fewer 4-year-olds. So our saturation rate ranges from 25% in Towns County to 100% in some counties. It just depends on supply and demand, to be quite frank. If you'll turn to the next slide, I just wanted to give you a little information on Georgia pre-K teachers, which obviously that's what makes high quality so possible are the teachers, the 3,800 teachers and 3,800 assistant teachers in each classroom. For lead teachers, they are required to have a minimum of a bachelor's in early childhood education. Most of them are certified, and their average salary is around $45,000. We do have assistant teachers in each classroom. They need to have a CDA or a paraprofessional license, and their salary is $20,000. We are definitely seeing a challenge with teacher retention in Georgia pre-K. We have not seen that before the pandemic. It was pretty steady. Pre-K teachers are amazing individuals when you meet with them, and I've outlined those retention numbers there. So for lead teachers, we have about an 80% retention rate, and for assistant teachers, it's much lower at 65%. So that, of course, can definitely impact the quality of the classroom environment. It's much better to retain those teachers year after year. On the next slide is our summer transition program, which does have some lottery funds recommended by the House in the amended 24 and the governor in 25. This is a small program, but part of Georgia's pre-K program. It's a 5-week program. We have a rising kindergarten and a rising pre-K, much smaller class sizes with a lead and assistant teacher. And we also have a transition coach that helps families with support as they enter either kindergarten or pre-K. And again, this is 5 weeks in the summer for students that need just that additional boost before they're going on to kindergarten or pre-K. On the next slide, you'll see a map. So this looks different than Georgia pre-K because, like I said, it is a smaller program. There are 70 rising pre-K classes, which are multilingual classes. And we have 324 rising kindergarten classes. And this program is in 62 counties in Georgia. The next slide is about Quality Rated, which is Georgia's system to determine and improve and communicate the quality of child care providers in Georgia. We have about 3,000 child care providers that have gone above and beyond those basic licensing requirements and really brought in that high quality early learning, which we know is so important. 97% of children in CAPS, which is our subsidy program, are in a quality rated provider. And I say that because I'm going to talk about CAPS next, but we know that high quality early learning is extremely important for young children in brain development and setting that strong foundation for future learning, but it's even more impactful for children that come from low income families. You'll turn to the next slide. This just shows a breakout of the 2,844 programs that are rated. You can receive a 1, 2, or 3 star. So you'll see that 23% have a 1 star, 55% have a 2 star, and 21% have the highest rating, which is a 3 star. And then on the next slide is another map. And this just shows you that we do have quality rated providers all over the state in 156 counties. And this means hundreds of thousands of children have access to high quality early learning through quality rated providers throughout the state. The darker the color, obviously, the more quality rated providers in that county. On the next slide is Child Care and Parent Services, or CAPS, which is the state's subsidy program. In order for a provider to serve CAPS children, they must be quality rated, because what I just said, quality is really important for children of low income. Just a little bit about the CAPS program. Usually, without COVID dollars, we spend about $280 million, which equates to about $5,600 annually per child. Right now, we are using some COVID one-time federal relief dollars, and we're spending $445 million annually for about $8,700 per child per year. We're serving about 70,000 children. 61% of Georgia's child care providers are CAPS providers, and families must be eligible for this program. So I want to just go through quickly what that means. So for initial eligibility, families must earn less than 50% of state median income. And to just put that in perspective, for a family of 4, you have to earn less than $47,000 a year. At renewal, you can earn more, so you've got a little bit of latitude to increase your wages, but you can't be more than 85% of state median income, which is about $80,000 for a family of 4. Families also must be working or attending school. There's a 24-hour activity requirement, and they must be in one of 13 priority groups. Families also have a fee in this, which is required, and they pay on average about $22 per child per week to participate in the CAPS program. If you'll look at the next slide, this is just an income distribution of CAPS families. Of course, you'll see the low to the high, but I really wanted to point out the median. Even though the entry is $47,000, the median is $24,000 for families on CAPS. And then finally, I will move to the last slide, which is Happy Helpings, which is Georgia's summer food service program. This is federally funded by the USDA, but it is administered by DECAL. We work with nonprofit organizations all throughout the state to provide meals to children 18 and under during the summer when they don't have those lunch meals at school. In 23, we're able to serve 2.8 million meals and snacks during the summer, and we are in 101 counties for the Happy Helpings program. So those are my updates. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, Commissioner, thank you as always for being very thorough and giving us this quickly. I know there's a lot of meat on this bone here, but really, really impressed with some of the things that are going on. So, any questions? Seeing none.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Mr. Rome, I know you've been waiting on me to call your name for the last 40 minutes, so you were in prime time. You have the floor. Appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I was asked to give a brief update on the FTEs, as I did last meeting, which is what we noticed and we saw on our FTEs, which is our full-time equivalent. I should also say that is probably the largest cost factor of the largest expense of the state. So it's a pretty important number that we get each year. What we noticed this year was rather flat. The last 2 years, we saw about a third of each of the students that we lost during COVID come back, and then in this third year, it was actually relatively flat. number of about 785. However, you will notice when I do get to the budget and I look at the QBE, you'll see a pretty high enrollment growth number, and that is because what we did notice is among our 18 categories, while we saw declines in our elementary, middle, and high school, the special ed categories, gifted, ESOL, these programs saw significant increases. So that does affect the funding. So those are my FTEs, and I'll go ahead and start with the budget. I will bypass all the general.
We would really appreciate that.
I got a lot of them. I'll go on right on down to 24.3.6. This is just a reduction of funding for a one-time meeting that we had last year. On 24.6.7, we got the governor has granted us the enhancement request that we submitted to provide funds to support evidence-based reading instruction for 2 literacy coaches at our RESAs, and also provide $2,000 supplements to our coordinators and leads in the school districts. Pay on 24.11.5, you'll see a transfer of funds. This is for $8.5 million. This is actually moving the $1,000 custodian supplements out of QBE and putting them in non-QBE. So you'll see the other side in the QBE program. You'll also see an increase in of $1.5 million and 24.11.6 for increase of funds for dyslexia screening pursuant to Senate Bill 48. This should bring the actual screening amount to about $5 million now. So, okay. Next up, in our pupil transportation, 24.14.1, you'll see a almost $205 million increase to provide additional state support for districts to statewide, reflecting updated bus count and 40% operational costs. But this is very important because we were using basically surveys about 20 years old, and this funding is going to allow us to redo those surveys, really fund districts at what bus routes they do have, and it moves it from about a 15% operational cost to around 40, so that's a very significant increase. And this pays for stuff like drug testing, insurance, driver benefits, and operations. You'll also see in 24.15.1, you'll see a $267 million increase for equalization. That's a formula increase as the tax digest has grown. The funding needed to bring those districts up to the median has increased. All right, we'll get to QBE in 24.17.1 or .2. You'll see that big number I said, that 249,000 was based on enrollment growth and T&E increases. It did include 8 new charters, but the FTE changes were also a big significant factor there. 24.17.3, you'll see an increase in funds for the teacher raises of $2,500. We are very appreciative, and I know our districts are of that. Effective September 1st, this is about $368 million. I believe this makes the base teacher pay now $43,592. I think it's an increase of about $9,500 over the last few years in the base teacher pay. 24.17.4, you'll see an increase for, that's the per member per month insurance. That's $242 million. You'll see increased funds for state charter schools. That's the 8 new charter schools and some growth of $50 million. You also see 24.17.7, another $6.3 million for an increase of funds for completion special school supplement for House Bill 87. This is the Coastal Plains, Mountain Ed, and Foothills supplement. And then, as I said earlier, the 24.17.11 is at $8.6 million for the custodians. All right. On 24.21.1, you're going to see $104 million to establish security grants. This is approximately $45,000 per school. We're excited that this is actually line item funding, not reimbursement driven, which is going to allow our districts to have better flexibility in planning. It also is going to allow a little more flexibility in what they can spend it on. In the previous security grant that they were given, they could buy stuff like alert systems, access controls, window film, security cameras, but they weren't allowed to use it towards personnel such as resource officers. My understanding is this grant's going to allow resource officers to be paid with these funds. So. All right, my next change is in 24.25.7, there's an increased funds to provide a universal reading screener for all K-12 students. It's about $5 million for the universal screeners. I think that is pursuant to House Bill 538. And then I'd like to add one thing with the testing, which I'm very thankful for in the amended budget, the late add that we had to request for AP testing of about $1 million. We will be requesting an additional $1.3 million for 25 because we don't see that test going down, but we did have a significant increase in our AP pre-calc testing as it was a new exam. And so that concludes all our major changes in our budget. Any
Perfect.
questions?
And I would just point out, I don't mean this like I'm calling you out, but that universal reading screener is for K3 students.
K3, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none.
Oh, man.
Thank you very much.
What easy.
Does anybody on the committee have anything for the good of the order? All right. Well, I wish you safe travels, no rain, and we'll all be back tomorrow sometime on the floor, and I will please be on the lookout in your emails for when we'll be back together for this committee. With that, we will stand adjourned.